Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 13 of L2R2, a PlayStation podcast. My name is Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, indie game dev, my UK bruv from another mum, Callum Monroe. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm surviving. All good.
It's good to hear. That's all we can do is just survive. And you get on toilet paper. I think the toilet paper thing went away. Like everyone's good on that, I feel.
Yeah, yeah. Seems to be. Well, I mean, I haven't been out of the house, so I don't know what it looks like.
Sure.
Actually, everything could be on fire or something. But the nice weather has sort of gone away, and it started raining and everything, so it's a little bit colder now. But yeah, no, it's just same old really. It's just getting there slowly, I suppose.
Yep. What have you been playing this whole week?
I've played quite a lot actually. I platinumed Final Fantasy VII Remake finally.
Yeah, well, how difficult was that?
It was good fun. Yeah, it was quite hard. You have to finish it on hard difficulty, which was fine. I mean, it was obviously a bit more challenging, but once you sort of work out the combat, it's all right. But the last chapter just has the biggest difficulty spike, and the very, very last boss was really, really difficult. But yeah, I managed to get past that. There's a few sort of extra challenges that you unlock on doing hard that you've got to do, like these sort of extra bosses and things, which weren't too bad, to be fair. So yeah, there was just a lot of like replaying chapters, doing different choices and things like that. So it's not too bad, but it's quite time consuming. I think it took me about 70 hours or so to platinum the game.
Dang.
So yeah, there's a lot to do there, but yeah, so I was glad to get that out the way, really.
Right.
But yeah, I also played God of War: Chains of Olympus.
Yeah, and I watched your recent video on that. So yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, give me an overview. You mentioned it's kind of had some issues, but it was still overall pretty fun.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's it's just more of those older God of War games. It does have some issues. I think the combat's a bit tame. It's sort of there's a lot of like. It seems quite basic, the combat at times, like that there's only a certain few things you can do, and the things you can do are quite frustrating, like you can't interrupt your own moves, you can't like when you dodge you can't move for a second after that, which just leaves you open to attacks all the time. So there's just quite a few things that make a lot of the fights frustrating, but other than that it's good. I just think the problem is that there's all the God of War games are on PlayStation now, and like I just don't know why you'd choose to play Chains of Olympus over the others.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was good fun. And what else have I been playing?
How did you feel about, because you're exclusively playing these games on PS Now and kind of reviewing your experience.
Yeah.
Are you still pretty positive as far as like the streaming ability? It's not, lagging or adding any issue to it?
Yeah, I was with Chains of Olympus, but I started, so for my next video I've been playing Resistance 3. Which is out of the 3 that I've played so far. This is a game I've played before.
Gotcha.
I've been having a little bit of connectivity issues, and the movement feels a little bit strange. But I don't know whether that's just because it's an older first-person shooter. But other than that, it's so much fun. Like the way it hasn't really aged in terms of its like gunplay. Like I don't know if you've played Resistance before.
No, you know what? I played the original. And and I played it like very recently, tried to jump into it, and it's a bit like awkward. I feel like the second, the third one, that's when they kind of get into the right flow. Maybe it's a bit more actiony kind of thing.
Yeah. They all have like this like some of the best selection of enemies. Like as in the enemies are all, you have to fight them all differently. So there's a really good like variety there, and the weapons are just amazing. Like none of the weapons feel like they're better than others. They all have their own pros and cons, and it's one of those games where it doesn't you don't have to worry about how much you're holding. You just have like 12 guns in your arsenal once you select them all, which I always find great for games like that. And yeah, that I realized like really isn't replicated in first person shooters nowadays. Like when I was playing Resistance 3 the other day, I was just having so much fun with the guns. Just like I've only got up to a part where I've got like 4 guns or so, but like you'll run out of ammo, switch to another one, and that gun will be like, because they've all got like primary and secondary fires, you'll really be feeling sort of the benefits of using each one. It's just a really well sort of thought out game, which I think they all are. But yeah, so I've been having a little bit of problems with the connection, but again, I've been playing on my laptop, so I might just play on my PlayStation 4, which is like wired in, so that might be a little bit better. Yeah, and I've got a little bit of problem with like the movement. I feel like the movement just feels really like, I don't know. It feels like you're not moving sort of as fast as it sort of like makes it out. So it kind of feels a bit strange. But again, I don't know whether that's just to do with its age or not. But yeah, no, it's good to go back to it. And I've also been playing, and I bought after Final Fantasy VII was Persona 5 Royal.
Oh, gotcha.
Which is like it's a re-release of Persona 5, but they've added loads of stuff to it. I didn't play the original Persona 5, but I've heard Royal is like incredible. And yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. I was literally playing it just before I came on here, and it's really something. It's really, really good. It's similar. I played Persona 4 Royal on the Vita, which is the like or Persona 4 Golden or whatever, which was like a re-release
I feel like Golden,
of Persona 4. Yeah, on the Vita. And it's similar. Persona 5 similar in the way that it takes ages and ages to get going. There's just so much to it that it kind of feels like you've got like stabilizers on at first, and it like doesn't let you really do anything. You sort of have to like go down this like where the game wants you to go for a while, and that lasts for about 6 hours. I think I'm about 7 hours in now, and it just feels like it's starting to open up. So it's a lot. It's a very, very slow start, and it's a long slow start, but just like Persona 4, it's worth getting past it, because they are really, really incredible games when you get past that sort of slow beginning.
And isn't this whole franchise, like, all these entries are super long, right? Like you can easily sink hours and hours and hours to the game.
Yeah, I think the average, because I look at how long to beat a lot before I play a game, because sometimes I'll like want to play a game that's really short, or I'll be wanting to look for a game that's a bit more beefy. And I think the average completion for the original Persona 5 was 80 hours. And for Royal, it's like 101 hours.
Jeez.
So, and for like completionists, I think it's like 150 or something. So, whoa. Yeah, they're big games, but they're so much fun. And it's so I've never ever played a game that's as stylish as Persona 5. It's like the HUD is just, it's amazing. Like it just looks like everything just looks incredible on it. It's just really, really, it's a really cool game. Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying that. So yeah, I've played quite a lot. but
that's good to hear, especially with Persona. Well, I've been playing not a whole bunch like this week. It seems like it's been kind of a slow week. I dipped a little bit into Fortnite last week. They had a big event. It was like a concert thing, and so I saw that. Yeah, I saw the headline, so I wanted to jump in and experience it, and it was pretty nuts. I mean, it's really cool how they always change things and add these crazy big, monumental events that bring people in, and they're just they prove why they're on top of their game. But I have a nephew that's staying with us, and so that's his whole world. Everything, his next sentence, every other sentence is something about Fortnite. So that always keeps me engaged to what's going on there and interested there. But really just sinking time into that game. I did try a little bit of Stadia.
Okay.
Yeah, so just kind of experimenting. I like to check in and see how it streams, all that. They have like a free 2-month trial right now, so I've been playing that. They just added PUBG, so I'm trying PUBG on Stadia, streaming it, and it works fine. Works pretty good.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, it gives me hope, especially like playing PS Now, which I've done when I played Resident Evil 4, playing Stadia. It's like there's a lot of hope, and there's a progression there with streaming. I feel like in the next 5 years, it's gonna become more of a juggernaut, and especially with the ability to. Maybe it's not that unlikely that we'll see people that don't have PS5s, and Xbox Series X's. They just have a subscription where they stream those games. I wonder if that's really
like an app on their TV or something. Yeah. I think it's definitely. I mean, even with PlayStation Now, I like I said before, I'm quite lucky to have a good internet connection. But like when I play on my PlayStation 4 and it's all wired in, I have no problems at all.
Right.
I think the main thing is obviously not a lot of people have good enough internet speeds.
Yep.
And also, like the PlayStation 4, for example, has a really bad Wi-Fi card in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed. And so that obviously needs to improve. And like we were saying just then, if an app was to be on like your smart TV or something, then smart TVs have like the worst network cards.
Oh yeah, you're getting the bare minimum, requirements.
Yeah. So I think there's still a long way to go, but yeah, it's cool that it shows that it works now with such, and it hasn't been around for that long, streaming games.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool.
You know what I have been playing a little bit of, as it was in the news lately, and you've been talking some shit about it, but City Skylines.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you didn't realize, but that's my game. Like for some reason,
Yeah.
maybe 2-3 years ago, it was finally on consoles, and I jumped in, and I just got lost in it, man. I've always loved the SimCity games.
Yeah.
And I just fell off the actual mainline like EA SimCity games, and City Skylines really took the mantle from them and just they ran with the baton. Like they have been improving that whole style. It's super deep. Something about it where I can just easily. That's like my just my go-to game whenever I don't have anything that I want to play. It's just playing that game, and yeah, I love it.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I have heard City Skyline is good, and I used to love SimCity, and I love like
you might dig it then.
Tycoon games. Yeah, I probably would. I'll definitely add it to my library. But I love like the Tycoon games, like Roller Coaster Tycoon and Zoo Tycoon, and all these like building games. But I just thought like if you're gonna pair a game with Farming Simulator, like City Skyline is just not the best game to do it with, and I think the thing with Plus is we all pay for it, and I know that people say, and I normally disagree with complaining about the games, but you know people say you pay for Plus for online, but you know like so, I know a lot of people don't. You know, people who play Fortnite, you don't need PlayStation Plus for.
Right.
As a lot of people, I mean, like myself, I don't even play online games, so really the only reason I'm paying for Plus is the free games. And so I think that for something like that, you need to make sure that while City Skyline, I'm sure, is a good game, it seems like it's a bit more niche to the kind of people who, you know, to the general people who pay for PlayStation Plus. And I think that's the kind of thing. So did you see the leak or the
I did, and I think that's why
yeah.
this is. We'll transition to the story here, but I think that's why this was such a sour taste in everyone's mouth, because they're expecting these like gangbuster games, and they got these more niche games like you mentioned. So yeah, the rumor has it that at the time it was possible we were going to get Dying Light and Dark Souls remastered. That was the big rumor that was circulating around. But instead we got which I dug, but instead we got City Skylines and Farming Simulator. I mean it's like it's rumors, so we kind of put too much into it. A lot of the speculation is it would be dope to see a month where they just reveal these like awesome games, and we didn't get that.
Yeah, I mean obviously it's been under fire quite a lot. I think last month was quite good with like Uncharted 4. Was it last month?
That was that one free Corona thing that they tied in. It was like a free special. I think that was separate from the PlayStation Plus games, but
okay.
I forget what last month was.
Yeah, but like Dying Light and Dark Souls, I mean that's not a. I mean Dying Light's 5 years old. Dark Souls is a remaster of an old game.
Yeah.
I think that you would even probably have some people complaining about that, but But I mean that's what it really should be. I'd say. I mean that sounds like a viable collection.
Right.
A couple of games to send out, especially considering it used to be more than 2 games you'd get per month.
Because it used to support Vita and PS3 games.
Yeah. So yeah, I just don't think it's a good lineup personally. I just think I think especially with the time, I know that they gave out the Uncharted collection and Journey, but they should still be. I think the current situation should be influencing their PlayStation Plus games as well. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't think it's the best lineup to do. I've got Dying Light. I don't have Dark Souls Remastered, but I mean Dying Light is. I mean, it's still being supported now. I think they've just released a new DLC for it, and it's such a brilliant game, and it's got a really good community. And I think Dying Light would be perfect. It's just got some DLC coming out for it. I know that there are a lot of people who haven't played it or never tried it. So yeah, I think it's a shame, but yeah, I'll try City Skylines. I don't think I'll try Farming Simulator. But,
well, you never know. We might be farming and making cities. No, you bring up a good point that because I can detach myself from this. I understand that these aren't the big, highly anticipated games, but and you're right. When you're building the service, you want to assume you're getting people in for the first time, and so by adding this as the the thing to grab people to pay for the subscription, it's not really much there. So you do want to, you imagine that they're conscious. Like every month, you got to at least if you're going to tie like Farming Sim to like another big game, and you can try and build like a package that suits everyone. But this one is so just not targeted to the mainstream that it's like
it's just strange. I think for games like City Skylines or Farming Simulator are like the perfect games to look at when you look at games that if you want to play them you'll buy them. If there's a fan of cities sim games, there's not many of them on PlayStation, they will already have City Skylines. If you're a fan of Farming Simulator, again, there's no variety in that genre. You'll buy Farming Simulator.
Right.
There's nobody that's going to look at this lineup that doesn't have either of those games, I don't think, really, and go, oh, I'm so glad that's come out. Because, like you said, you love City Skylines, but you've already got it, you've already played it.
Very
and
true.
I think that the people who would be happy about this lineup will already have those games because they are so niche. So I just think it's not the best. I mean, I don't know whether it has anything, because I know that obviously the devs behind those games need to agree to it. It's like a two-way thing, so I don't know whether obviously like the times now are influencing that at all, so whether it's difficult for PlayStation to get some good games, but I can't imagine that's the case. But
right, you imagine they have,
just
a good amount of money they can throw at these devs, but maybe it was just like,
Yeah.
hey, next month is loaded, so this month is more of a, a soft kind of release, but who knows?
Yeah, it better be bloody loaded. It better have some some good stuff.
Yeah, you really have to. Yeah, you have to kind of. You can't be like, okay, Sims is the next, next month's release. I think they did the Sims recently, actually. Like Sims 4 was one of the ones.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how. But I understand everyone's frustration, but meanwhile, I'm sitting back just enjoying my City Skyline time. But
yeah. Yeah.
We'll jump into one of the next stories. This just happened today. So they teased yesterday. It was the Assassin's Creed Valhalla reveal. We actually got to see some not footage, but like I want to say it's a story trailer. I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna boot it up right now.
Yeah, I'm really excited actually. I haven't played either of the reboots, just because of how like long they are and how much like time they require. Because as much as I'd like to try them, I've got such a big backlog that a game of that length would need to be something.
You're talking about the newer Assassin's
really
Creed games?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
The last two, yeah. But I mean, Assassin's Creed 2 is one of my favourite games ever. But it's probably also the only Assassin's Creed I really enjoyed.
Now, this seems with the Viking stuff, I feel like you're ingesting a lot of this kind of story. I feel like this is right up your alley lately.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching The Last Kingdom and reading the books, so I've been really like obsessed with that for the past few months. In fact, Series 4 came out the other day, and I binged it in one day, and it is just, I mean, if you haven't seen it, it is just awesome.
Nice.
But yeah, this would be really cool. I was hoping it, because that Last Kingdom's about the Vikings going into England, but this looks more to do with where this looks a bit further on, so I don't know what this is going to be about. But
now, you mentioned you kind of, the last time you picked up was the original Assassin's Creed games. Does the whole open world aspect kind of turn you off? Because there is that debate with that community that they want something that's a bit more like that older style of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think it definitely needed a reboot, so I don't begrudge it for going down the route it did. But yeah, for me personally, I'd be much more inclined to try out an Assassin's Creed game that's going to be the familiar, like 15 to 20 hours long, bit more linear, a bit more, like less sandboxy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but then the other part of me says that they did need to do it. It was getting very stale. I mean, for me, it was stale probably from Brotherhood onwards.
Gotcha.
And they released like about 500 more after that.
Yeah.
So,
they for sure.
No, this looks really cool.
They for sure needed to work on that engine because it was so buggy and it was really like tarnishing the whole franchise. And so I think at the very least they need to redo that side of it. And it seemed to have reinvigorated the whole franchise going open world because they always get really high reviews. They sell really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, a friend of mine recently started playing Odyssey because I think it was on sale. But he said that it was just too janky for him. He said like it's just there's a lot of like weird facial animations and things like that, and he just said he couldn't get into it. Which, I mean, I don't know whether that would bother me too much, but again, and the weird thing is, I love like Greek mythology, and like the ancient like Greece and all of that. So it's a game I've thought about playing, but I've heard how long it is, and I just don't have room for it really, which is a shame. But I think I'll probably I might look at picking this up depending on sort of what part it's set in.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So watching this trailer, is it Vikings meeting another group? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd imagine it, because what Vikings normally do is, because where they live, like Denmark and Norway and all of this, they're lands where you can't grow anything. So what they used to do would venture out and find lands like England, for example, and obviously lots of other countries that would have luscious lands where they could grow and everything like that. So so I'd imagine that they'll be invading another country, which could be a really cool, idea, because you're sort of playing as the bad guys in a way.
Yeah.
But this is what's interesting about Vikings, and like from watching Last Kingdom, is you sort of like relate to their goals, because all they just need land where they can live and grow,
right,
and everything. But it's just because of what they follow and their religion. They follow like the old gods like Thor and all of that. Who have completely different beliefs than like the Christian God, for example, who's all about peace and living together.
That's not what they're about.
God or whatever. That's not what they're about. No. So I just wanted to. I'd say the trailer's really cool. I just wanted to rewind to where he's writing that letter.
Oh yeah, with the wax there.
Yeah.
Is there some kind of a Easter egg in that?
Well, because it's signed AEL and then something. And that is English. Like ale is like a way back then for like a royal name.
Okay.
So like the first king of England was called Ethelstan, and things like that. So I mean, if this is going to be in England, that would be awesome, because the story that sort of goes with that is really, really cool. So I'm hoping that from that little screenshot there,
yeah,
is because I was trying to find that was what I was doing before we started recording. I was sort of trying to find out if they like released like a plot summary, because
I haven't seen one yet, but it's possible we'll get more, because this is just the story trailer. Maybe with the gameplay we'll get more of a synopsis on what's going on.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that bottom of the letter with the AEL is going to be England, because that would be really, really cool.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty stoked. I dabbled a little bit in the newer Assassin's Creeds. Not really Origins, but the last one that came out. I'm blanking on the name.
Yeah.
But that one was really cool. I played it actually a little bit on Stadia. That was one of the first times you could stream it. With this beta that Stadia put out, and then I played it on console.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Yeah. It's not too broad where it's like hard to figure out what's going on, but it is very open where it's up to you to decide where you want to go. And I dig that. Also, sometimes that style of gameplay leaves me just like wandering off, and I end up not following the story and just kind of falling off.
And then you end up getting bored of the game, and
right.
You don't want to end up finishing it. Yeah, I mean that's definitely a problem I have, but I think that when they're like made really well, I think they can be like some of the best stuff. Like Horizon Zero Dawn was like really well directed and sort of like telling you subtly telling you what to do and where to go. And like an example I always like to bring up with open world games is Oblivion.
Sure.
Where like you'll just be wandering around and just things will happen. I suppose kind of like what Red Dead 2 does. Where just the world feels alive, and even if you do wander off, things will happen that will like keep you engrossed in the game.
Yeah.
I mean Oblivion is like the perfect open world game for me. I'm really excited about this. If it is about the Vikings, like the Danes invading England, then I'm all about that.
Yeah.
But, it looks cool.
What's also interesting about this one, so it's our first cross-gen official game. So it's on PS4, it's on PS5, it's on Windows, PC, Xbox One, Series X. So it's gonna really try and and it's aiming for the holiday season. So it's gonna really try to be a cross-gen game.
Yeah, that would be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it looks on how it plays.
Yep.
Because of that, because like I said, I've heard that Origins and Odyssey are a little bit janky, but so it'd be interesting to see if because of the next gen like improvements, if it looks and plays a lot better.
Right.
But, yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
Nice. Yeah, we'll see how it goes with that. I love the way they released this too, with having that cover art being done in real time. I don't think another game has done a kind of reveal like that. So it's they're really understanding, marketing wise, what to do with this.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let's see. This next story here wasn't as well received. We'll jump into it. So I'm not sure how interested you are in the whole Predator series, but we had not a PS4 exclusive, but it's console exclusive to PS4. It's Predator Hunting Grounds. It released this week. Some of the reviews I pulled from Metacritic here give kind of an idea on the reception. So we have Game Informer gave it a 73. If you're looking for an authentic Predator experience, this is about as good as it's gotten, and fittingly, it's perhaps best enjoyed the way Predators have infected with humanity. Drop in, enjoy the hunt, and get out while you can. IGN now starts to go downhill a little bit. IGN gives it a 50. The Predator is too often outgunned and has few means of dividing and conquering his prey. There's a consistently enjoyable experience buried somewhere in the janky jungle of Predator Hunting Grounds, but it's just not that easy to find yet. Destructoid rounds it out here. This game ticks enough boxes. I'm not sure how long the honeymoon period will last for Predator Hunting Grounds, or whether or not some of the initial technical concerns will be addressed on PS4 anytime soon, if ever. But for now, while people are still learning the ins and outs together, the game is an entertaining little thrill ride. Yeah, Callum, are you very interested? Was this on your radar at all?
Not really. I was interested to see how it would be received. I'm not really into multiplayer games anymore. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like if the devs stick with it, it could be something quite good. Just sounds like obviously it's had a bit of a patchy release, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds fairly promising, to be honest. I think obviously it sounds like it's got a few technical snags, but you know, we've seen so many games recently, you know, carry on being supported. I mean, Fallout 76 is one that's, you know, become really quite of a success story recently. So you never know. I mean, if Ilphonic stick to it and iron out any problems people have with it, then it sounds like there's obviously something there that's fun and enjoyable. So if they can sort of bring that out and extract it, then could have a decent game on our hands.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. And Predator especially is an interesting franchise or entity where it's like it seems like it would lend itself really well to a game, but how do you balance that? Because if you're just the Predator, then how do you find a foe that's, you know, that's enticing enough? But then if you're human, you just want to be Predator, so it's like how do you make that fun? And it's a hard balance to strike.
Yeah, I remember there was a fun Predator game on PS2, which was like kind of open world. I can't remember what it's called now. But that was pretty cool. I don't know if it was like one of those PS2 games you remember as a kid, and it's actually really bad when you look at it as like an adult that can think.
Right.
But yeah, no, I remember that. I can't remember what it's called now. It's going to annoy me. It was something like Forbidden something or something. But no, it was a fun game. But yeah, I like Predator. I think it's a cool idea to have like a asymmetric multiplayer game with it. But yeah, I mean, I think with looking at Ilphonic sort of past games, I think it was always going to be expected that it was going to be a little bit janky.
Right. Friday the 13th was definitely janky, but it seemed to entice people with the fun aspect of it. It seemed like it was fun and that overweighed the whole technical aspects. And this one, I feel like it seems like reception-wise, it's not, the fun isn't overlapping the issues with the technical stuff. But
no. Yeah. So hopefully they can improve the technical side, because like I said, I mean, all these reviews talk about, you know, something fun in there, so hopefully they can carry on working on it and extract that out and you know, get something good.
Are you a fan of the Predator movies at all?
I love the first two. I've always, I mean, it was always like when they did like AVP that you always like started comparing the two series, and I'm a much bigger fan of Alien.
Yeah, same here.
But yeah, no, Predator's good fun. It's like a proper macho, like, fun flick. It's hard to dislike it, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's it definitely like you say, it definitely needs a game. It definitely would lend itself well to a fun game. But I think like the way they did with Alien Isolation. I couldn't get into Alien Isolation, but I think like the idea of, you know, taking these like really well known like predators, no pun intended, and sort of like using that, I think like a cool game where you're like trying to escape a predator, or, you know, like trying to, you know, if you're in like a forest and you're trying to like use your environment to try and get past it, like Alien Isolation. Right. I think that could be quite cool. But yeah, no, I think this seems like a good idea, and hopefully they can make it better.
You know what? So I love Predator, I love Alien. There is a comic book series where they had Alien versus Predator versus Terminator. And it sounds ridiculous, but it's actually super dope. And there's no way to.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
I would love a movie or a game. It's such a hard needle to thread, like to merge those three things rather, and have it make sense.
Yeah.
But like the comic did a really cool job of it. But it's like those are such iconic movie and just monster ideas. Like to merge those together would be really dope in a game.
Yeah. That reminds me, actually, there was a new Terminator game recently, wasn't there? Like a shooter, which I've heard is like got a pretty like good community on it who quite enjoyed
it's
it.
Terminator Resistance. I didn't know how I felt watching the footage. The last game from that dev was that Rambo game. I don't know if you remember seeing it was like a notoriously just really bad looking on rail shooter.
Yeah,
they handled this version of it. I've heard same things where people who play it love it, but from the outside it doesn't look like it's on par.
No, it doesn't look great. But I think that's the thing though. We don't have a lot of good first person shooters, so I think it's quite easy. Because what I've heard is it just plays quite well. And I think that's all you need really with a first person shooter is as long as it plays well and feels nice, you'll have some degree of fun with it.
One day I'll get my Predator versus Alien versus Terminator game, so we'll see.
Yeah, maybe.
Or a movie or something. I would love to see them.
Maybe it'll be like a Smash Bros game.
That's maybe the only way to make it work. Yeah, because you have three juggernauts fighting each other. It's like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Nice, Callum. Well, we'll see. Yeah, hopefully that game evolves and gets better over time. Predator Hunting Grounds, but that was just a release this week here. One of the next things on the docket, so it's some more PS5 news / rumor / kind of anticipation, but this is from PlayStation Lifestyle. I pulled the article from them. They talk more about the official PlayStation magazine. So PS5 game reveals imminent as OPM teases blowout. So this is from the official PlayStation magazine, which is based in the UK. The latest issue of the official PlayStation magazine, available now digitally and soon in stores, focuses on the PS5 and its fancy new controller, but the most compelling tidbit comes courtesy of its preview for the next edition. Due out on June 2nd, the magazine writes, "It's coming." The top of the image includes the PS5's record-breaking logo. The publication continues. The next gen starts next issue as we reveal the latest games coming to PS5 and how they'll play. There, of course, been strong rumors that Sony is planning some kind of console blowout in May, and dates would align here if that's the case. We're 6 months away from system's previously announced holiday 2020 launch now, so it all makes sense. How do you feel about this? So if this tease is correct, we're getting ready for some kind of June, release announcement.
Yeah, that's cool. It could be. It could be soon, which would be nice. It's so 2nd of June's when the magazine comes out.
Yeah, officially.
Hopefully, it would mean like a late May or mid-May release, because I'd imagine that the magazine would probably come a couple of weeks after a reveal or something. But that's cool. That's exciting. It's a bit more of like a believable rumor now that we've seen this.
I think what gives credit to this, as far as like the whole time frame of a June-May release, I think it makes more sense now. That's one of our next news articles as well, is that now that The Last of Us has an official time, that now we can start to get everything in motion. I feel like there was a wait for getting big juggernauts like The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, getting them in place to be before you start to really, at least launch the console. But like giving them a time frame really makes it so they can start the process of revealing the PS5.
Yeah, and they can start like scheduling their marketing and everything as well. Yeah.
So yeah, that's an interesting tease. There's not a whole lot there, but let's jump into Last of Us 2. This was good. This was really big for me. Last of Us 2 gets an official date. So does Ghost of Tsushima. So I pulled the article from IGN. Joe Screbbles writes, after being delayed indefinitely, The Last of Us Part 2 will be released on June 19th, and Ghosts of Tsushima pushed back to July 17th. Sony Interactive Entertainment head of Worldwide Studios Herman Hulse said he wants to personally congratulate and thank both the teams at Naughty Dog and Sucker Punch Productions on their achievements. As we know, it's not an easy feat to reach the finish line under these circumstances. Ghosts of Tsushima, the samurai open world game by infamous creator Sucker Punch, was originally scheduled for June 26, but has clearly been pushed back to allow The Last of Us Part 2 some breathing room. Hulse puts the delay down to, quote, some disruptions to our working styles caused by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The Last of Us 2 was recently delayed from its May 29th release, and Sony began issuing automatic refunds because of the indefinite nature of that delay. So to pull out of the article, how did you feel about finally getting an actual date for these two games?
Yeah, it's really exciting. You'd have to imagine that that's it now for delays. They really can't push them back anymore. But yeah, I didn't think I didn't think Ghost of Tsushima would be pushed back because I thought Last of Us Part 2 would be coming after that
Yeah.
now. 'Cause I think I was just sort of like but the word indefinitely sort of made me think it was going to be a lot bigger delay than it is. But yeah, it makes sense to push Ghost of Tsushima back. I still think it's quite a small gap between them, and I think Ghost of Tsushima might suffer from that. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting that we're going to get them both so close to each other anyway, and it's exciting that Last of Us is coming a lot sooner than I certainly thought it would be.
Yeah, especially since they initially didn't give us a new date. They just said it's on indefinite hold.
Yeah.
That made me think, man, we're getting ready for some kind of a really long wait for this. But the fact that it's, 2 months later than usual is pretty dope. And I wonder if, because one of the things they cited was the change to their dev style with the whole Corona stuff happening, them having to work at home. But I thought it was more of a like physical production issue. Maybe that is tied to this whole thing. But either way, you know, it's good to see an actual date. But yeah, I'm super stoked.
Yeah, that is an interesting thing about the disruptions to our working styles. Because I thought it was production as well. But yeah, it's just nice to have a date, I suppose.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it.
Now, one of the big things that happened last weekend too, and I don't know if it's at all related to them trying to get a date going, but there was a huge leak of storyline plot points and gameplay. Once I saw any just a sniff of that, I just muted all my things on Twitter and made sure, because that's how I get a lot of news is through Twitter, just like real time updates. But I made sure to mute anything related to The Last of Us because I do not want to see any spoiler stuff.
No. Yeah, no, it is a bit scary. It's awful as well. I mean, that someone would do that, because I've heard it's from like a disgruntled employee or something, which is just, I mean, they're disgruntled because they obviously care about the people that work there, the people who are being mistreated. But this just like takes away, because I mean, if someone's being like worked to the bone on a project, that project coming out and amazing everyone is sort of like the silver lining, isn't it, for working so hard. But now this person's just gone and spoilt that, so now it sort of detriments that sort of like pot of gold over the other side for these people who have worked so hard. So
yeah, let's get into that, because that was that's the big running rumors, that it was a disgruntled employee. They were almost using this as a way to protest the crunch that's happening at Naughty Dog. I guess they have a series of issues with that whole studio, with crunch, with not managing stuff properly. I see two arguments there, and I've seen them online, where it's people very angry that we're not talking about that aspect of it and praising someone for having the guts to do this as a way to like shake everyone and say, hey, we need to pay attention to the crunch that's going on. I get that. But at the same time, I feel like, just like you mentioned, it's only shooting everyone else in the foot who's working on the game actively. Yeah. It's like, it's not helping your comrades, your fellow employees, because they're also crunching with you. Yeah. I get that conversation needs to happen, and it does, but I feel like it can happen separate from spoiling the game for other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that the argument with the overworking and everything, it's a difficult one, because people might say, oh, why isn't everyone talking about this? But I remember there was a big expose from like Jason Schreier, who's always the one who like heads these things, about Naughty Dog, and he did one about what the Borderlands devs called, forgotten now.
Oh,
it's not 2K.
Yeah.
2K,
I'm blanking on them too, but yeah.
And where he sort of cites these like unknown sources, but then there's all these other sources that then come out after these things happen, and they say, oh, I work for 2K, because the 2K thing was about these bonuses and everything. And there was loads of those people coming out saying, no, there was tons of transparency, it wasn't guaranteed, it was just, and everyone's saying that, I can't remember the name of the guy who runs them now, is it Randy Pitchford,
yep.
who I don't like from what I've heard about him, but all these people are saying, he's a great boss. He puts them first and everything. So, and the same things happen with Naughty Dog. So when this expose came out, loads of people came out saying, I've got no problem with management. They're all, really great. People work hard, but there's incentives for that and everything. So it's always difficult, because you've got these big articles that expose people from these sources, but these same publications like Kotaku will never ever then talk about the other side. They'll never take these news sources and say, oh, we've now got, because that's what they're doing. They shouldn't be taking sides. They should be reporting on what information they have. So I don't understand why there aren't these not countering, but the other side to these things, because I'm sure these sources are both true, but it just shows that sort of balance a bit more.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So it's hard for me to take that stance and say, oh, some people saying, oh, they deserve it because they've been overworking their employees and all this. But I think a lot of people who say things like that are just reading these headlines, not reading into it, not looking at the sources and looking at the other side of things, where in every big company like that are working on huge projects with lots of different managements and things, there's going to be people who are unsatisfied with how things are ran. There's going to be people who have no problem with it. So it's just how it is. And I think it's such a shame it's been leaked, and I think it's just as bad when people are sort of saying, oh, that they're sort of like backing up that it's been leaked because of Naughty Dog's treatment of their employees. I think it's just I think people have like real moral compass problems, but it's the main thing is it's been leaked and people need to watch out, because it'd be such a shame for it to be spoiled, especially considering we were saying that we think it's been delayed so that people don't get it spoiled. So.
Right. Yeah, no, it's and you touch on some great points. I mean, with Kotaku, there is a definite narrative. I think that their minds and their hearts in the right place. They want to make sure they expose any kind of injustice is happening for sure. But I don't know if they actually try and balance, the different interviews, the other side of the coin. Maybe that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to just show what's happening. But at the same time, you can't discount the fact that there's other people within that whatever group that we're talking about that are going to feel like everything's functioning fine, or they knew what they got into when they got into this whole the game rather. So it's a tough balance. But yeah, definitely there's a better way to bring this conversation up rather than spoil the game for gamers and then hurt your fellow employees by all the work, all the crunch they've done. It's all for nothing somewhat when you kind of reveal all this stuff early on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it's a bummer, but I've been trying to. So the struggle's real, trying to stay away from these spoilers. I've so far have been able to stay away from them. I've been reading online people that have seen them, like just kind of images or videos that they didn't realize what they're clicking on, and then it's showing them stuff like crucial plot point stuff. So it's a huge bummer for people out there. Yeah,
and it's a while as well. I mean, we've got all of May to get through, and then half of June. Yeah. So hopefully we'll make it.
Yeah, I'm excited. One of the last things here was that they released. They announced rather that the install for The Last of Us 2 is going to be at least 100 gigabytes. So it's going to be a meaty game. I know they announced that there's at least 2 discs that this thing is shipping on because it's so massive. So yeah, we're getting so clear the space on your PS4 because it's gonna, and those fans are going to be whirling twice as fast and twice as loud to power this thing.
Oh yeah. They may get up to space. At some point.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy watching. So I'm watching while we're talking the trailer, one of the first trailers they showed off of gameplay for The Last of Us, and it's such a beautiful looking game. I wonder if it's really going to put, it's really going to be taxing for that original base model PS4. Like as we get further into closer to next gen rather, these base model PS4s. I mean, you can make the engine way more, efficient and stuff, but at a certain point, it's just I can't see how a base model PS4 is going to be able to play this flawlessly. I feel like it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, I think that's where that's where the big size of it's going to come in, and installing as much of these assets as possible to try and help run this game. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm always sort of like amazed at how much optimization they're able to squeeze out of these consoles, and it's such a positive thing down to the people who engineer these things, because you have a lot of these, like a lot of negativity in the PC community towards consoles, and they're always like, oh, it's these outdated tech, but that should be a bigger reason to think how amazing these things are, because yes, it's outdated tech, but a console's architecture is completely different to a PC. A console is built for one purpose and one purpose only, whereas PCs are completely multi-purpose. So I think the base PlayStation 4 has the graphics unit in it is years and years old, but if you were to put that equivalent graphics unit into a computer, there's no way it'd even nearly be able to play games the same way a PlayStation 4
Right.
does. So it just shows how well optimized these machines are, and I'm sure Last of Us 2 will be another example of that. But I think it will play well. I don't think they would, you know, and that's probably down to the crunch and the amount of work they've had to put in is to make sure it does play well. I think it'll be a similar story to Last of Us, the first one, because that obviously came out at the tail end of the PlayStation 3.
Yep.
And that was, I mean, that still looks amazing on PlayStation 3, and it looks far better than most games on that console. And it ran amazingly well. Didn't have any hitches with the original Last of Us, and I just think that, you know, Naughty Dog are a really dedicated and talented team that will just somehow make this work well. And you've seen it with God of War, with Uncharted 4, you know, these
Right.
games that, you know, have no right playing as well as they do on that tech, and with both of those games I had absolutely no issues at all, and I don't even have a PlayStation 4 Pro. I've just got a normal Slim. So it'll be interesting to see how it does, but I'm sure it will impress us.
Yeah, I just share no fears that it's not going to be able to impress us for sure. Like even looking at Uncharted 4, I've been watching footage of that just recently. It's such a beautiful game, and they're able to do that on the base model PlayStations. I think that was the one where PS4 Pro came a bit after it, so they optimized it for PS4 Pro as well, but it's able to run on the base model. It's such a beautiful engine, and it almost looks like next gen. Like the quality that they're able to produce looks like it's further from what we have now. So I mean, kudos to Naughty Dog and how they're able to. But you're right. It's a testament to when you can develop for one closed system, you don't have to worry about like, oh, what kind of graphics card does somebody have or might have, and all this other stuff that goes into with PCs. You can optimize it for that setup, and you can really just squeeze as much power as you can.
Yeah, and I think that was the problem with the PlayStation 3, because obviously that had that like cell architecture, whatever it was. So that's where you saw some problems with games coming out on the PS3. But now with the PS4 and Xbox, I mean, they're both built very similarly. So, you know, and most games are made for console. It's just like I was talking to someone about Call of Duty Warzone, because he's been trying to play it on his PC, and whilst he has to turn everything down. And it like uses 100% of his graphics card and everything, but he should be able to play it no problem at all. But the problem is, because Call of Duty is developed for console, because that's where the majority of people play it, it's basically a port on PC, so it's just really badly optimized. And it's been like that for Call of, I mean, I've always heard horror stories about Call of Duty on PC. It's always been a console community game. But yeah, so that there are definitely some benefits to releasing for console. But the counter argument is, you know, PC community will say that, but if there were no consoles, then imagine they would think that games would be much further along technically, which I don't know if is true, because I also feel like having one thing to make things for allows them to really explore and experiment, whereas, you know, if there were no consoles and everyone developed for multi-purpose machines, then there'd be just so much, there'd be probably so many more delays and technical hiccups and things like that. So there definitely is mostly pros from having consoles over PC.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's an argument for when you're sort of constrained, maybe artistically, you kind of have to just figure out other outlets and ways to, you know, increase power, and that's where they are able to shine. By they have these constraints and they're able to like really try to squeeze as much power as they can. But you're right, with PCs, if that's all we had, it seems like that would fracture everyone even more, and it'd be hard to jump into the idea of gaming in the first place, because there's so much research and stuff you'd have to figure out, and graphics cards, and does TurboTax work on this thing, and all that bullshit with PC gaming. We wouldn't have the flourishing industry that we have as big as we do now. It's not like it wouldn't be there at all, for sure, but these things kind of help each other. So with console sales, with software sales, like that only helps PC gaming at the same time.
Yeah, and because consoles are for gaming, you can turn one on and play a game within minutes. Whereas with PCs, you know, gaming's just something you can do on them.
Right.
And a lot. I mean, I'd probably say. I mean, I've got a really good PC, and I play. You know, I've played lots of games on PCs before, and I do a lot of work on computers and everything. But there's just so many issues that come with them, and it takes like years and years of encountering these issues, finding out how to figure them out, to finally get to a point where you're proficient enough to, be able to actually play things and be able to make sure your computer stays fast and all of these things. So they're not very accessible, and I know a lot of people, like to say they are because they understand computers, but not everyone does, and it's an alarming it's actually an alarming amount of people who don't understand computers enough to really get the most out of them. So as much as I do love PC gaming, and if you play a game on PC, 60 frames a second and on ultra quality, it does look amazing. And I only have a 1080p monitor. I haven't even tried it on 1440p or 4K, but so there is really an amazing experience to have there. But yeah, games consoles are just all around a much better experience, I think.
Yeah, we all have options now, way more than we did 10, 20 years ago. So it's like, why not embrace the fact that there's all these different levels of entry? If you want to spend the time and the money creating this super beefy machine, and you're experiencing everything at the top frame rate, top resolution, go for it. And you can let someone who's still bumming around their PlayStation 2 and playing games there and having a good time. It's like it's just a community. I never subscribed to the whole like either the console war stuff or the PC versus console. I just have no time for that.
It's kind of like inventing a rivalry where there isn't one. It's like, it's just not at all. If I had like an argument with someone on Twitter about it who was sort of trying to liken it to sports, and I love like football, so I'm really into like sports and rivalry. But sport is sport is competition. Like that's what it is. Like that is exactly what sport is. So, and rivalry and competition go hand in hand, and it sort of is what I suppose you can't have competition without rivalry. Whereas to say that, and these people are saying it's just like sport, rivalry exists between any kind of competition, but it's like, but that's because you're thinking there is competition. It's like they're competitors in the way that they're competing with each other, but that would then indicate that we're fans, and it's like that's just where it gets a bit weird for me. Is that like I love PlayStation 4. It's my favorite games console. It's my favorite way to play games. It's my favorite ecosystem. But I don't consider myself as a fan of PlayStation in the way that I'm not a fan of Xbox. I'm not a fan of PC. If you're a fan of a football team, then you're likely not to be a fan of other football teams because they're your competitors. They're who you're playing against. But you're not playing PlayStation 4 against Xbox. You're not playing PlayStation 4 against PC. You're just playing games on your preferred platform. And I think to invent a rivalry, whether or not some people obviously enjoy that rivalry and they find it fun and it's like a bit of banter, but it also invites like just toxicity and just negativity to communities. And I just think it's like kind of like irresponsible in a way. It's kind of like, everyone's always talking about like how everyone needs to be nicer to each other, but yet we'll like invite negativity by just saying things like referring to Xbox players as Xbots or whatever. It's just like, and the worst thing about it is it's not even that it's offensive. It's just that it's like
just dumb.
It's so childish. It's just like, it's just pathetic to like see. But each to their own. I suppose people enjoy it, but the thing that really like not concerns me, but is that people like have Twitter pages that are like dedicated to this, which I never realized until I started following video games as a topic.
Same here. Yep.
And and there's a lot of them as well. There's so many just Twitter profiles that like you'll see from their bio, and all their tweets are all about PlayStation versus Xbox, and it's like and they're the people that are like fueling it and like making it materialize really. And it's just a shame that they can't see that the only reason this thing exists is because they're fueling it with their Twitter profiles and things like that. So, but people are always going to do that, and
it's a bunch of.
I'm sure people do have fun.
It's a bunch of sad people that don't have anything else going on, and they have to create a rivalry or whatever out of nowhere. But it's...
But I do take part in rivalry in sport, so I can't really talk. I support a team in Scotland called Celtic, and they have like a really like one of the fiercest rivalries of another team in Glasgow, and you know, it is really horrible at times, and but that's all part of sport, and which I suppose kind of makes it sound hypocritical. But the reason I sort of feel like there's an argument there is because, you know, games consoles are just games consoles. You know, they're technology. Right. They're not sport teams. They're not teams to follow. You know, PlayStation isn't a team. It's a brand. It's a games console manufacturer or whatever. So, but
yeah, it's very strange. I mean, and I think it's there's an argument for there's a way to do it, especially with sports. It's like it's still all in fun. It's still like roasting each other, and there's that competition there. I don't mind it on the console side when people are just having fun with it, but not taking it seriously. But you're right. There are pages and people that are very much take it seriously. There's that one which ended up being a fake video, but that guy destroying his computer because that Horizon was going to PC or whatever. It's like, come on, man.
But that's the thing. People are actually like annoyed about that, and the problem is like I was saying with like sport, is rivalry enhances sport. It makes like those emotions bigger. You know, if you're playing against a rival who you really like detest and you get a win, then like you're on sky high. If you lose, you're like really low, and that's what I love about sport, is it can invoke these like huge emotions from you. But with games, it's like there's just no. I just don't think that there's any place for that, and the it's not like sport gets negatively affected by rivalry. Actually, like I said, it gets positively affected by it because it makes the emotions bigger. But with gaming, like for example, that guy getting annoyed about Horizon coming to PC. Horizon going to PC is good for gaming. So this rivalry actually is detrimental to gaming because people are not supporting these positive changes because of this stupid rivalry. Right. It's I just don't think they're comparable at all, sports and games. It even sounds weird even saying that.
But there's people out there that they're definite, you know, fanboys for whatever series that they follow, and it's like, and it's all also they can't tie themselves from criticism. Like you want to be able to like look at each side in a fair manner, so where you can't just be just nearsighted and only, you know, consider whatever's happening, say with Sony or with Xbox, and just like disregard any either positive or negative stuff on either side. You want to be able to be well-rounded enough to also give praise when somebody's like, say like Xbox on their Game Pass. That's an amazing deal that I feel like Sony's slacking on. So like I love that they're doing that. I feel like that gives more motivation for Sony to try and, you know, try and gain some ground on that side too. But like that only helps both systems, that they compete at least along the features. But like there's no way we can't praise both of them for trying those things.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing. You always want competition, you know, if it's going to benefit the movement of the hardware and the systems and the software that's developed. And competition from the side of the people who make these things is good. Competition from the fans is not good. It doesn't improve gaming. It doesn't help anything. In fact, it just like doesn't help everything, because like people are just creating toxicity, and you know, you have so many people who will go to a different community. I mean, each community has its own toxicity, but you'll have so many people who will be like, oh, I'm going to stop playing games consoles because of this whole PS4 Xbox thing, and they'll go and play PC, which is fine, but that means that brand is losing out because of other people.
Right.
And it's just, it just invites toxicity. And like you said, I like it when it's like funny and, you know, just fun-natured and everything, but which is all right, but it's when people create like profiles dedicated to it, where it just becomes like, and even with sport, I'd find, you know, someone who's dedicated to like ripping it out of their rivals, whatever, that again just invites toxicity. But you know, I mean, like comments and remarks and things are fine, obviously. I mean, you can joke about anything, but when you're actually that serious about it, that you have to create a Twitter profile, and you have to, you know, actually be annoyed that one of the games that's exclusive to the system you play on is going to something else. It's just, I just really don't understand it. It is honestly like, it's like seeing like a 12-year-old kid like just having a tantrum, and you look at them and you think, God, to them this is like the biggest thing ever, but you know as an adult that it means nothing. It's literally like that, and it's it's just a shame.
Yeah, no, those people shouldn't be allowed to vote. Like, you shouldn't be able to take their opinion seriously at all. But it is like, it's a human beings are tribal in nature. It's like, I don't know how you get rid of that. It's always seems like it's always going to happen. No. I don't know. It's like we're going to have the argument, to the end of time. People are still going to find, even if everything is equal, it's like we're still going to find just minuscule reasons to separate and to argue. And it's very dumb.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, and I think obviously people are always going to side with things. I mean, people do it with like KFC and McDonald's, sure, and like with like really tiny things, but you don't see a Twitter profile like dedicated to KFC that like hates McDonald's and its bio and stuff like that. So yeah,
I'm gonna start that.
I think like of it. Yeah, I think like you said, like it's in our nature and it's going to happen, and that's fine, but. I think everyone has like a responsibility to try and like not attract toxicity, because it's just, I mean, that just doesn't help anybody at all.
Yeah, if we can agree on anything, we can agree that spoilering The Last of Us, you're an asshole if you're doing that, for sure.
Yeah, definitely the death penalty need to come out for that.
Yeah. All right, Cam. Well, that's it for us this week. We'll end it there. Where can they keep?
Yeah. I do actually have one thing to talk about, actually, because this like completely flew under the radar, and I just reminded because I'm drinking out my Destroy Humans.
Oh yes.
From Gamescom, and that is Destroy Humans is coming on July 28th, the remake.
So is that on your radar? You're pretty stoked for that?
Yeah, I played the original back on PS2. I think I've got because they re-released the PS2 version on PS4, and I think I've got it, but I haven't played it simply because of the remake that's coming out. But I played the remake at Gamescom. Is where I got the cup from, and it's good fun. It plays exactly like the PS2 one. It just looks better and plays better. So I think that'll be a good one to look out for. I think it'll be a nice, short, just fun romp. So I just thought, it's been hard. The only reason I saw it is because I follow like a trophy guy called Power Picks, who he always releases the trophy list for games that are coming out, and he releases trophy guides and stuff like that. And he released the Destroy Humans trophy list and said it was coming out on July 28th, and literally everyone commented was like, I completely forgot this game was coming.
Yeah.
So there's one that's sort of gone under everyone's radar, but it's one that I thought I'd give a shout out to, because the game that it is remaking is awesome, and it's I think it's a like for like remake, like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. So it'll be that'll be a really fun.
Yeah, I'm watching footage of it now. I mean, it's a great. The visuals are awesome. It seems like they're keeping the base idea there. Seems like a 1-for-1, like you mentioned. I wonder why, especially with me too. Like, I had seen this happen, and I said cool in my mind. I just kept moving, but for some reason it doesn't have the same hold on everyone as say like the Crash Bandicoot, the Spyro stuff. But this is still a big. It's still a big franchise, but I feel like it just for some reason flew under the radar.
Yeah, it's quite strange though, because I thought this isn't going to be like a big when I heard it was getting remade, I thought this is going to be quite niche. And then when I went to Gamescom, they had like a really big stall dedicated to it. They had this big crafted UFO with Crypto the Alien on it, and it all this amazing special effects and stuff to do with where you line up and play it. And they had a really but I think it's THQ Nordic, I think, who are doing it.
Okay.
Or who are paying for it, and I think they've got just lots of money. So, but I was surprised that it's been given such a, because it also that no one knew when it was coming out. It's just suddenly July 28th. So, I'm not sure whether that's going to get a lot of promotion or anything, but.
It's tough.
It's definitely one to
and this is cross platform too. It's going to be releasing. It's not like an exclusive like other remasters.
Gotcha. I think I'm pretty sure it's. I think when I played it on PC with an Xbox controller. I'm pretty sure it's going to everything. But I mean, Destroy Humans is great. It's one of those real culture favorites of the cult classics of PS2. Yeah. I remember sinking hours and hours. That was one of those games that came out around the time where I was at that age where I could just play the same game over and over and never get bored. And Destroy Humans was definitely one of those. So and like I said, I haven't played it since then, so I'm really excited to play it, play the reboot version, and tap into all these nostalgic memories and things, because I'm sure there's gonna be lots of things I can't remember about it, but lots of things that will trigger some some fond memories.
It seems like, was the writing pretty funny too? I never played it, but it seemed like that kind of experience where they really understand.
Yeah, it's a really funny game. Yeah, it is really funny. I mean, I remember it being funny, and when I played the demo, it was the writing's pretty funny. It's just a really good, slapstick, satirical. It's really satirical. It's all, I think it's set in like that time around like Roswell in like is it like the 60s, where it's like or the 50s, where it's like everyone's all worried about aliens and things like that. And I remember there's a sequel as well, which was then like the 60s, 70s, and it was all like hippies and things like that. They're just really fun games, and I think it's such a good IP to reboot. I think they've done well there, but I'm really looking forward to playing it and seeing how it plays now.
Nice, yeah. I'll try and keep this back on my radar. I know I'd seen this and just like erase that memory.
Yeah, but It's one of those. I thought that's why I bring it up, because I thought lots of people are going to forget about it. So.
Especially if they can release this for a low enough price point where there's just like no brainer for people to download this and jump in, like a $30. I don't know how lengthy the game is, but if you can just bring it to a price point where if it wasn't on people's radar, if there's a drought at that same time, they'll jump into it. Like it's hopefully they pair it that same way.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be around the $30 mark. I can't imagine it doing too well if it goes to not that it's a bad game, but I mean. It's like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. Although they look nice and they've been remade, they're still, and I suppose it's most similar to Medieval as well. I know that's a PS1 game, but they whilst they look nice, they still have these old-fashioned mechanics and like design choices and things like that. So yeah, I think $30 would be a fair price for it, and even maybe like up to $40 depending on how. If they flesh it out at all, and I think it's a fairly lengthy game, probably like 10 hours or so. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be good fun. It reminds me of sort of like those old, like Ratchet and Clank in a way, where you're like constantly getting upgrades and getting new weapons and just being able to like fire them at random people and I remember you can. Like morph into people,
right? You can take over their bodies,
disguised as human. So there's a lot of fun to be had with that game.
Nice. Yeah, I'll try and keep it on my radar for sure. That's awesome. All right, Cam, we'll end it there. Where can they find you online?
Twitter at Bear Munro. That's the only place worth following me, if it's even worth it at all.
Gotcha. It's a ringing endorsement there, and you can find us on Twitter as well, Plastic Card Pod. That's it for us this week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
See you later.
You're too late. I've already summoned Meteor.
Okay, let's go.